And I've seen brands go from really popular to really unpopular. Like, you know, I worked at Topshop at one point and I saw the peak and the fall of it. And it, you know, retail is really volatile. Something can be like the hottest thing one day and it can be just out of business in a few years. It's crazy. And even brands like The Row, I mean, they're really popular now. But I wonder if it will last, right? And I wonder if they did expand more, if it would impact on their business. Because the thing is, why brands don't always come to Australia is because when you do over expand, it can actually be at the detriment of your business. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. Thanks for clicking on my video today. I was inspired to make this video because I was watching Autumn Beckman yesterday. I'll link her below, and she was unboxing a bag from Henri Bendel. And I have noticed a few other YouTubers like Tanya from Bits and Bags and other YouTubers who come from the US talk about Henri Bendel and how it went out of business. I think around 2019, I did a little Wikipedia search. And Henri Bendel, I don't think we've ever had it in Australia because I do not remember Henri Bendel when I was younger. And I tried to Google whether we ever had it in Australia, but I'm pretty sure they only had mainly department stores in the US. And apparently it was a department store. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this, but I had no idea about Henri Bendel. I heard that it was a department store that was around since like 1890 something, and it shut down because I guess, you know, maybe they had to compete with online and other brands and maybe their designs didn't keep up with the trends, or I have no idea. But let me know, guys, if you know why Henri Bendel went out of business, because I have been really like obsessed just the last like day or so with looking at people like explore the Henri Bendel store and like talk about Henri Bendel bags, because I don't know, there's something very nostalgic about the aesthetic of the store, which I feel like in Australian department stores or fashion, we were loosely inspired by it, but I don't think we ever had a Henri Bendel. So yeah, guys, Henri Bendel is one of those brands that I was never aware of, but I'm really enjoying learning about it, and I wonder if they'll ever bring it back. I'm sure a lot of people would really love that who are diehard fans. It made me really ponder, what other brands have I not experienced or really seen in Australia, and is Australia missing out on these other like huge international brands that other people feel nostalgia for? Because, you know, in Melbourne we had so many designer brands that have now, you know, either they're not like they used to be, or they're, you know, that they were big at the time but they're not as big as they used to be. In Australia, you know, a lot of international brands like, you know, like Louis Vuitton, Chanel have all kind of taken over, and these Australian designers that used to be really huge like in the 90s and the early 2000s are no longer as talked about. Like for us, like I would say nostalgic brands for me are like Alana Hill, Alice McCall, something like Sass & Bide. These were huge brands that were big in the early 2000s, and now they're just like not as they used to be, particularly Sass & Bide. Like Sass & Bide jeans were just like going off, and the like little wet look leggings and all that, like that was a huge trend. Even like brands like One Teaspoon with the shorts. There's a lot of nostalgic Australian brands I can think of that maybe they didn't make it to other countries, but they have a different meaning to me because I grew up with them. So another brand that I don't have any nostalgic connection to, but I feel like other YouTubers do, is Dooney and Bourke. And I discovered Dooney and Bourke from Caleb Snell's channel, so I'll link Caleb Snell below as well. But from what I've seen, Dooney and Bourke was a huge brand, particularly in the 2000s. I think they had a multicolor collection as well, similar to Louis Vuitton, which was super popular. And a lot of people have like a nostalgic like connection to this, but I don't know about this nostalgia because we never had Dooney and Bourke in Australia, and if I hadn't watched YouTube I would never have found out about this brand. Dooney and Bourke still does exist, and I believe it's still pretty popular, but yeah, it never came to Australia, so I don't know if it's as popular as brands like Coach, which have come to Australia. Coach has been in Australia for a pretty long time now, and it is, yeah, I would say it's pretty popular. And Kate Spade is also in Australia, but I will say that Kate Spade used to have more stores in Australia, and I've noticed that they're slowly like shutting them down. So I don't know if Kate Spade as well is one of those businesses that used to be really popular and now it's kind of like not as popular anymore. Maybe I hope they don't go out of business either, because Kate Spade bags are super cute. But yeah, anyways, I digress. Dooney and Bourke, yeah, from Caleb Snell's channel, I learned that they make these like all-weather leather bags, and they're pretty famous for their duck logo. They're pretty durable bags and pretty friendly price points as well. So yeah, I've never actually seen a Dooney and Bourke bag in real life. I don't see people wearing them in Australia, but I do wonder if it will ever come to Australia and whether there is a market for Dooney and Bourke as a brand. Brands that I think that would do really well in Australia that we don't have is brands like The Row. The Row is also another American brand founded by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. The Row is really having a moment right now. I think they were founded in like 2005 or so, but it's not until like now that I feel like they're really taking off with like the mainstream general public. And I think that Melbourne fashion, if you come to Melbourne, a lot of people dress quite neutral and black, and either that or like sporty chic. And I do think that The Row would be super successful here because a lot of people love that like low-key styling. The Row, I think it could do really well in Australia, but I don't know whether they'll ever bring it to Australia. I know that they've implemented it into more department stores and that sort of thing overseas as well. But The Row, yeah, it's definitely becoming more exclusive and like mysterious. So I know that even with their fashion shows, they didn't allow the guests to like take photos or be on their phones. So yeah, The Row, I don't know if it will always be a super accessible brand, like brands like Coach or that sort of thing, but I do think that it is a brand that would do really well in Australia, and I do hope that they bring it here one day so I can check out the Margot bag in real life. Another brand that I think would do great in Australia is Vivienne Westwood, and particularly in Melbourne. I'm so surprised that they have not like opened up a Vivienne Westwood store in Australia. They do sometimes sell Vivienne Westwood Melissa shoes in different boutiques, which is like a collaboration with the rubber shoes. I actually used to own some Melissa shoes, which were the Vivienne Westwood collab. But Vivienne Westwood as a brand, when I went to Japan, I was able to visit a Vivienne Westwood store for the first time. I really wish that we had Vivienne Westwood in Australia. So, you know, I know that I've actually ordered from the Vivienne Westwood website before, and I know we have all these online platforms where you can buy things, but there's something about shopping in real life that sometimes feels like even more special, and you know, you can try the pieces on for yourself. And Melbourne has a lot of like alternative and like edgy fashion, so I'm really surprised they haven't opened up a Vivienne Westwood here, and I wonder if they ever will in the future. They also offer really reasonably priced handbags. Super Jacob actually has a huge collection of Vivienne Westwood, and I sometimes go to his channel just to check out some of his Vivienne Westwood reviews. Goyard is another brand that I think would be really popular in Melbourne in particular. We did recently get Foray Lepage, which is another brand that has similar canvas bags to like Louis Vuitton and Goyard. And Foray Lepage, I don't know if it's doing that well in Melbourne because it is quite hidden and it's a very like niche brand. I don't really see many YouTubers talking about it either. However, I'm surprised that they would implement like Foray Lepage into Melbourne but not Goyard, because I feel like Goyard would be even more popular, but perhaps they haven't opened up in Australia because they want to be more exclusive. I did visit a Goyard store for the first time when I went to Japan, which was pretty cool. I do like that mini and new tote. I think that's really cute. Would I buy it? I'm not too sure. Maybe if we had a Goyard in Australia, I may be more tempted. I'm sure it would be really competitive to get things though, and particularly in Melbourne. I mean, scoring an Hermes bag is not easy in cities where there are a lot of wealthy people and people who are into fashion and handbags. So I'm sure Goyard would also be do really well in a city like Melbourne. So that was just some of my brands that I think would do well in Australia, all that I wish I knew more about, all that I experienced. Let me know, guys, have you ever visited a Henri Bendel store? And let me know more about it. Like, why did it go under? I just love looking at like old shopping centers and like seeing what used to be, and yeah, it's just crazy, guys, because like I've kind of, you know, I've worked in retail and I've seen brands go from really popular to really unpopular. Like, you know, I worked at Topshop at one point and I saw the peak and the fall of it. And it, you know, retail is really volatile. Like, something can be like the hottest thing one day and it can be just out of business, like, you know, in a few years. So it's crazy. And even brands like The Row, I mean, they're really popular now. but I wonder if it will last, right? And I wonder if they did expand more, if it would impact on their business. Because the thing is, why brands don't always come to Australia is because when you do over expand, it can actually be at the detriment of your business if you don't perform and make the right amount of money, basically. I know that's what happened with Topshop. They definitely overexpanded. So anyways, thanks for listening to my bloody video today, and I'll talk to you guys on my next one. Bye!